If you're buying a home in Miami in 2021, it is so different than it ever has been compared to buying a home any other year. In this video, I'm going to share with you the differences, and hopefully, this will help you get your offer accepted. But more than anything, I wanted to set your expectations correctly. I'm going to be glancing off the screen every once in a while. I prepared for this video like I always do. Spent, I don't know, maybe about 45 minutes putting my ideas together, and I'm gonna share everything with you. And just to start off with, my name's Amit Bhuta. I'm a real estate agent for Compass in Miami. I've lived in Miami 48 years since I was 4 years old, and I've been doing real estate 17 years. The reason I'm telling you this isn't to just tell it to you, it's to tell you that when I take the time to do a video and I get the data, I'm comparing it to a bunch of other years, not just 2 or 3 years. So first of all, if you're buying a home, you need your expectations to be in line, because the last thing you want to do, buying a home in any market is difficult enough. But when you're buying a home in a market that is, you hear all the time in the news how hot it is, or if you see social media or whatever you're seeing online or just speaking with people, you know how difficult it is for buyers purchasing homes because there's very, very tight inventory. So in the past, the old way when you were buying a home is the searches were so different. You'd have your real estate apps on your phone, or you'd be looking online on your laptop, on your desktop, whatever you were doing. There was no sense of urgency. You were just taking your time. If listings came out today, next week, or whatever, you were just taking your time every once in a while. It didn't matter if you took a day or 5 days or a week to send the listings to to your agent, or calling up the agent that had the listing. And let me go back a step. The things I'm telling you about 2021 did occur towards the end of 2020 as well. And depending on where you live in the country, if you're in Miami and you're buying a home, it depends when you were starting out, and it depends on the area. Because some areas in Miami, we have such a localized real estate market. Some areas are busier than other areas. And, if someone asked me a question, asked me, how is real estate in Miami? The first thing is I'll ask them, it depends. It depends what area you're looking in, what's your price range. Are you looking for single family homes? Are you interested in knowing about condos, townhomes? What's the price range, like I mentioned? And there's so many different variables. So again, towards the end of 2020, the mid to end of 2020 and 2021 is totally different than every other year. And like I said before, in the past, the first thing is there would be no sense of urgency. There would be a lot of inventory, and there would be many homes to choose from. The selection was really, really good. But it's different. It's much different now. The inventory is very, very tight. There are so many less homes on the market. And although we say how hot the real estate market is, we have less sales than in the past. And the reason, in most areas, the reason that's the case is because there's less inventory, less homes to sell. And even though the sales are really good, we have less. We have less amount to choose from. So another thing is, in the past, you had a much better selection. I could have clients, whether it was me, Jade, Will, or Vico, or anyone else on the team, when we had clients, they could be sort of picky. They can take time. They can wait for that perfect home in their mind that would come out because the inventory was so much more. Now it's not. There's very, very limited inventory. And now, if you see a home on the market, you need to act immediately. If you see that home the next day, the odds are, and it's a nice home, it's probably gone, before you even schedule an appointment. Happens all the time when we have clients, and life gets in the way. Even though you're looking for a home, life gets in the way. Maybe you have stuff to do with your family. Maybe you're out of town. Maybe you're taking care of someone that's sick. Maybe you have to work. Whatever it is, life gets in the way, and sometimes you can't always communicate with your agent, or if it's someone who's working with us, maybe they can't communicate with us right away. And sometimes they'll communicate with us a day, 2 days later, and we call the agent. And a lot of times, it's sad, but a lot of times they don't pick up. They don't respond to us texting them or calling them because they already have it on the market. It doesn't mean it's right for them not to respond, but they've already had an offer. They've probably had 100 calls on the property, and they just got, I guess they're human. They got fed up with answering the calls, the texts, the emails. Doesn't make it right, but that's why a lot of times they don't respond to us. So the first thing is the expectations. When you see a property, jump on it right away. Have your notifications set up on your phone and jump on it right away. It's so different in the past when there was so much more inventory where you could take your time. Very, very different. So the day-to-day searching is very, very different now than it was in the past. Another thing is the offer time and comps. So in the past, as far as how long would it take you to offer something on a home? So say you see a property, in the past you saw a property, you called your agent, you looked at the property. A lot of times in the past, people could get a second or third showing. They had family members or friends, other decision makers. They'd call them and they'd say, why don't you, have a second or third showing over 2-3 days, a week, 2 weeks, however long it was, because those homes would be on the market. Homes stayed on the market much longer than they do now. Now, that's probably not going to happen. If it's a home that's nice, meaning probably if you're interested, usually someone else is interested. And what'll happen is you're probably only going to get one chance to look at it. And I would recommend having a game plan where you can get whoever you want to see the property to go when you want to see it, because you're probably not going to get a second time to do it, and that offer is probably going to get accepted. So the offer time is much shorter than in the past. Now, if you see a property, you better put an offer on it right away. Don't wait another day. Don't wait like an extra 10, 12 hours. If you like the property, be ready to buy it. And if this isn't the type of market you're used to or want to deal with, you don't have to be in it, But if you want to be in that market, that would be the thing to do. Another thing is, in the past, we would get, and we still get this, where our buyers, our clients, would look at properties and they would ask us, they'd say, okay, we like this property, Amit. What are some of the comps? What's sold recently? Like what closed in the last few months? And because we want to know what to offer. And in the past, that was fine. We'd look up what sold in the last few months. We'd give them the number and they'd figure it out. And usually in a normal market, you offer something, similar to that. But we're in a very, very, I don't know the word I'm trying to say, but in a market where it's like appreciation on steroids, where things are going up so quickly. And for those of you that know Miami Beach, that know South Florida, that know Fisher Island, I'm sure all of you have heard of Zillow or go to Zillow or use Zillow. And Zillow has their forecast for the year, this year compared to next year. And they do it by zip codes and they do it by areas. And there's an area where Fisher Island, one of the most expensive zip codes in the country, Zillow, I couldn't even believe this. I don't agree with it, but they said that they forecast the appreciation of Fisher Island to go up roughly 35% from this year to next year. So when we live, and that's like an outlier. Most areas aren't like that, but the appreciation is pretty high. But the reason I'm saying this is when you're in a market and you're competing against other buyers in a market where we have this really, really quick appreciation on properties. If I look at the comps from, like, say the property, excuse me, say the property sold a month ago. A month ago, that means that property was probably had an accepted offer 30 to 60 days to 30, 45, 60 days prior to that. So a month, and then I add another month to 2 months. That's like 2 to 3 months. So in 3 months, the market has changed dramatically. So if we were to put in an offer based on that, it wouldn't be the right comp to do. So as far as comps are okay, but in this market, you have to pay way higher than comps. Again, you don't have to buy in this market, but if you want to buy something and you want to put in an appropriate offer, comps don't really mean that much like they did in the past. Another thing is negotiating and expectations. In the past, what you could do is, negotiating would be like, we see a property, you take a few days to figure it out. I send you the comps, and then we figure out what to put in. We send that offer after a few days, and then we maybe give them a day or 2 or 3 days, however long, to reply to the offer. The other agent gets back to us, and then maybe we do some like a counter offer. We go back and forth, and maybe eventually over a few days we have a deal. That is not how it is now. If 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 those are your expectations now, that is not going to happen. The way it works now is very, very different. What happens now is, if you're buying a property and you see there's something that you like, what you need to do is, sorry, in case you hear noise in the background, that's my cat jumping around and stuff. But anyways, let me focus, stay focused. But so now, if you like a property and you put in an offer, because that seller is getting a lot of offers, and because a lot of real estate agents are getting overwhelmed with multiple offers, meaning 10, 12, 15 offers, and they're getting hundreds of calls on a property. Again, it doesn't mean it's right, but a lot of times they don't respond. So in the past, we would put an offer, we would expect a counter offer, and negotiate. If so, I'll give you an example. Say it's $1 million property, and I always use the a million because our team averages. I think our average price point is 1.2 million. We do sell properties that are 100, 200,000, but we also sell, obviously much more multi-million dollar properties as well. But anyways, so for the example, say that the property is $1 million. In the past, we put in an offer for 950. The seller counter offered. They said like 990 or 980, and we went back and forth, and that's how it would be. Now it's very different. If we put an offer, we need to put our best offer up front. We don't have we're not going to have the flexibility of putting in an offer where we're going to get a counter offer and we'll go back and forth, and then eventually we'll make a deal. When we're competing against 8 to 10 to 15 offers, or even a few offers, that the owner is not going to counter offer every offer. They're probably going to get offers over asking price, and is probably going to accept one of the offers instead of going back and forth. And like I said, it's bad, but that agent probably won't even respond to us. So expectation, put in your best offer up front. Otherwise, you may not have a chance. I've had situations where I've had buyers and I've told them, you need to put your best offer up front, and they still don't do it, which is fine. It's your biggest asset, biggest thing you're going to spend money on, and I understand you if you've never done business with me and you don't know me, that you don't trust me, and it's okay. I'm here to support you, whatever decision you make. But I've had situations where I've told the buyer to put in their best offer, and I could tell they really loved the home. They were like in love with it, and I told them to put in the best offer. They didn't, and then they found out later that what the offer that was accepted, which was like 50 grand more, they would have paid 75,000 more, but they chose not to. They wanted to negotiate and they lost home. So just keep that in mind. So the last thing I want to tell you is this. Our market is very difficult now. Do not buy a home unless you have to. You know, it may sound weird that I'm a real estate agent. My job is to sell homes and I'm telling you not to buy one. But I do this job for a living. Whether you want to buy a home today, tomorrow, 20 years from now, you know, if I'm still alive, hopefully I am, I'm still going to be selling real estate. And I'm going to do everything I can to help you whenever it is, whether it's today or in the future. So if you're not ready to pay over asking price, you're not ready to have a smaller selection, you're not ready to waive your contingencies for probably appraisal inspection, if you're not willing to do a lot of things that most people don't want to do not buy a home now, because it's gonna hurt you. Especially because I know, like most of you, if you're buying a home, you and your family probably had sacrifices you had to make to save money sometimes, to not go on vacations, to have a bigger down payment or get the cash to pay cash. That's most families. If you're fortunate and you're very wealthy and you didn't have to go through that, then that's great for you. But most people have made sacrifices. So if you've made these sacrifices, the last thing you want to do is be in a market where you settle for something that you're not crazy about. The last thing I want to do, I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. I did a video, I'm going to put the link in the video description, on if you are that person that is ready to buy in this market. I did a video on how to buy a home in Miami in 2021. Typically, the average buyer is putting like 8 to 10 to 12 to 15, and I say average, it just depends on how realistic that buyer is. But it's not uncommon for a buyer to put in more than 8 offers for a property, and some 15, 17. We just did a deal. I represented the seller, and the buyer that got the property was his 17th offer. So I did this video. I have some pro tips. Like I said, I've been doing this 17 years, and we have over 20 plus years, because obviously the people on our team too have experience. We put our ideas together and we came up with the best possible game plan for a buyer in today's market. It'll give you the least amount of stress. You will have stress still, and we will lessen it, because buying a house, there's always going to be some stress. I don't want to be one of these people that guarantees you there's no stress. I'm going to get your offer accepted the first time. If I do that, I'd be lying to you, and I don't want to do that. But with that said, your stress level is going to be much less, and your odds of getting your first offer accepted will be much closer to that than 15. Maybe it's 2, 3, 5, or 4, or whatever the number is. I don't think it'll be 15 or 17. You may even get the first offer accepted if you watch that video and you listen to what we have to say. And the last thing I have to say is thank you so much for spending time, taking time out of your day to watch our videos. Every week we get multiple people DMing us, emailing us, and calling us and telling us that they've been watching our stuff. And it means a whole lot for you to take time out of your day to do that. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do hit that notification bell to get videos as they are released. And if you know anyone that could benefit from the education or just some of the stuff that we do, like best places to eat, or just some of the foolishness that our team does and just shows you our lives, and that we do other things besides real estate, please subscribe or share the channel with everyone else. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Love you guys. All the best.